it was early enough in camp where I could make a decision of, okay, do we pull out of the fight, or are you gonna go for it? Are you gonna suck it up, not complain about the rib?
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Crazy news out there. I'm pretty sure you've seen the video. Fighters in street fights. You know what I mean? Like, why is this going on, man? Why is it going on, man? Like,
I think that's just a Diaz brothers thing. You know, they'll fight anybody anytime. Like they don't care. But you know, fighters fight. You know, and it looked like he was surrounded a little bit, so maybe that might have something to do with it. And he was just whoever was coming close to him, he was going to choke him out. But
have you ever gotten into street fights? Is that something that you were involved in when you were a kid?
no, I've never been in a street fight. I've never been in a fight outside the cage.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing. One time I was at like a party and some dude like pushed his sister down, and I didn't know who it was. His sister. This was like in college. I didn't know it was his sister, and still that doesn't matter. You don't push women down. But I like hit him with like a wrestling trip or whatever, and then just like pinned him down. I was like, you don't ever touch a woman like that. That's
You
about it.
scolded him. You scolded him.
I scolded him, but yeah, you can't call it a fight though. He's just like, what?
Yeah, were you bigger than you were now?
No, I was just a little smaller.
Okay.
So that was
Still
probably like
big.
a sophomore in college. So I was probably around 220.
That's still big, man. You know what I mean? Like athlete 220 is a different machine, you know what I mean, than just a
Yeah.
regular person 220.
And that's when I was back when I was like wrestling. So that's all I knew was wrestling, which gets the job done, especially in the streets.
For sure. Makes sense, you know, you never been in a street fight because I don't think, you know, if you're walking around that big and, you know, and where you come from, you know what I mean? It's just, the wrestling background. I don't think no one's going to mess with you.
Not unless
Man,
they
your
have a
last,
gun. So that's why I don't mess with people.
yeah, that's also true too. It's dangerous out there.
Uh-huh.
Your last fight, man, 30-27 clean sweep against
Mm-hmm.
Talon Jung. What do you think were like the keys to that victory in that, you know, in the fight?
The main thing was mentality, and then just the preparation that I had. I prepared a little different with my sparring and just my mental state while I was sparring and before sparring. I just got a lot more reps in of actually like preparing for a 15-minute fight, instead of, you know, a lot of times I just get caught up when in sparring just to spar and stuff like that, and not really, you know, putting power behind stuff or using all my speed, and maybe just like doing one or two things. But last camp definitely focused on winning rounds, and having that mentality that I need to win those rounds and not take time off, you know, not take minutes off in a fight and stuff like that. And that's kind of how we're training this one too.
How much of the game plan were you able to implement against Jung?
Uh, Pretty much all of it.
Wow.
Get close to it. I mean, the main thing was my coaches told me we don't want to get in a kickboxing fight with this guy. Obviously, had range and stuff like that, and is a really good striker. Make him wrestle, and I didn't know that it was his game plan to out wrestle me. So it kind of worked out. I'm like, all right, you want to wrestle? Let's wrestle. Because I was about to walk out from the back, and like they have us out there, you know, we're staged and ready to go, and they're playing like the hype videos or whatever where we're talking and stuff like that. And he kind of gave away crucial information in one of those videos. He was like, he was saying how he's gonna take me down and wrestle me, and like I heard that, I'm like, all right, here we go. So I was able to have like a little bit of a game plan into that, knowing that he wanted to take me down.
Were there any like particular techniques that you worked on or actually that worked on him, that maybe surprised you? Not like that maybe you didn't even prepare in camp. It's just something from muscle memory.
Yeah, a lot of it was muscle memory. I had a couple of good wrestling moves that I put on him. That's just nothing that I trained in particular, just kind of happened. And also on the feet, striking, saw certain openings and had to take them because they were there. So, and then just crowding him a little bit and staying in the fight, and not giving him too much room to breathe and stuff like that. So it worked out really well.
And it seemed like you weren't like as beat up compared to your other fights. Did you feel like, you avoided injury, you know what I mean? That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So I did not get injured. I was a little sore afterwards. So
Mhm.
I went into the fight with a popped rib. My rib
Oh,
was kind of popped out. That happened probably like, I don't know, 3 weeks to a month before, something like that. Maybe even more, maybe about a month or so. Um, so I was dealing with that all fight camp. And then like magically fight week, it just kind of disappeared. The more my mental got onto the fight, the less I was worried about my rib. But that was the only thing that was kind of sore after the fight was the rib. So
I don't know how you do it, man, because I've had bruised ribs and I would go hit mitts and it would just be too painful. Just hitting mitts, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
crazy.
I mean it's definitely a hard thing to do. And I didn't do it on my own. I have a mental coach, and he walked me through it. And then also my coaches, they wouldn't let me. Once I had to make a decision. It was early enough in camp where I could make a decision of, okay, do we pull out of the fight, or are you gonna go for it? Are you gonna suck it up, not complain about the rib,
Mhm.
and not give any excuses, and train to win this fight? And I said, I agree. I'm training to win this fight. We made that deal, and that's what we did. We I talked about the rib a couple times, and my coach Vinny, he said, "No more talking about your fucking rib. We don't want to hear about the rib anymore." Like, all right, there we go. I just kept it in. If it hurt, kept it in. But I did that fight week as well, and in the fight, like, you know, you're is what it is at that point.
Yeah. Tough love, man. Tough love. You need it sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean, it takes a good coach to be able to tell their fighter, shut up about it. Like you, and that's what they were telling me. Like you okayed it. Like you want to keep fighting, so we're gonna fight. You can't be thinking about the rib all the time. So it worked out.
For sure. And you get back home and I saw that like your family had a surprise. They built a gym for you in your basement, man. How was that? Did you expect that?
No, so that was actually recently this camp. Um, I went home, spent time out here in Denver, there in South Dakota. So I went back for a week, and yeah, I noticed I walked in the garage and I didn't see my heavy bag there. I'm like, where's the heck's my heavy bag? And my wife's like, oh, my daughter, she's sending it out to get something done to it or whatever. Obviously making something up on the spot. And then
Mhm.
an hour or so later, when my daughter got home, she walked me down there and showed me the surprise. And yeah, I was super surprised because that took some work to do that. That was a
Yeah.
regular. It was just a regular room, carpet and everything like that. There's a bunch of furniture in there and storage or whatever. Um, and to see it as a gym, then also all of my fight posters from all of my UFC fights. Like I
Mhm.
almost cried when I saw that because I had them in storage, hadn't done nothing with them yet. I hadn't had a place to put them. And to see that, knowing they did all that for me, and it was super special. So
Yeah, man. 15 fights, man. That's a long career just in itself,
is that how
not
many I
even
have?
just in the
That's
UFC.
how many I have in the UFC.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I lose count. Yeah, all of a sudden I'm an old guy in the UFC. Crazy, time flies.
Yeah, it is, man. But man, you said, you're hitting your prime, man, and it seemed like it in your last
Yeah,
fight. Is there pressure to that as well? You know what I mean? Because you feel that you're in your prime, so there's
yeah.
expectations of that as well.
The only pressure is from myself. I know how good I can be and how good I am. And it's just I have to truly believe that. Um, and so my mental coach challenged me to sit down, pull up the top 15 rankings, light heavyweights, and he wanted me to rank myself. Where do you see yourself? Obviously, I've lost and stuff like that, so I am where I am with the rankings and stuff. But he said, where do you see yourself? And I had to go through the list, and I went through each fight. Some of them would be rematches.
Yeah.
I went through each fight, and like I know I can win these fights, so I put myself at the top. Like I can be champion. I'm champion. I'm at that level. Like I know I can beat Jamal Hill, and then whoever else on that list.
Yeah, I think if you're a fighter and you're building yourself up and if you've been in the UFC for a while, you have to think that you could beat the
Hmm.
champion. Like if you don't,
Yeah,
it's almost like what are you fighting for? Yeah, of course you're fighting for money, but outside of that, like you want to be the best, right? Like that's the point of
absolutely.
all of this.
Yeah, and I think the kind of reason behind it, guys will get stuck in being okay. I'm middle of the road. I'm here. I've kept a job, but it's whatever. Like no, like we're going for the title. We know we can beat that. We know we can beat that guy and everybody else on that list. So why not put that out into the world? Let people know that I'm champion. I can beat that guy, and I can beat anyone else on that list too. So it's just really making it making it known, and obviously with that you have to believe something if you're putting it out there in the public. So
For sure. And your next step, man, UFC 288 May 6th,
yep.
Kennedy Nzechukwu, back-to-back finishes for him, you know what I mean? So it's a solid opponent. What do you see in him and his skill set?
He's a dangerous striker. He's got some wrestling too. I mean, he's well rounded and he's 6'5". So yeah, he's definitely a dangerous guy. Um, so that's kind of what I see from him. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know how much heart he's got. I've seen him get finished a couple times, uh, but I don't think I've really seen him in a barn burner of a fight where both
Mhm.
guys are bloodied, both guys are like tired, dead tired. I don't think I've seen him there. But I've seen myself there. I put myself there, so I know if it's got to come to that, it's going to come to that, and I will win that fight. Other than that, he can finish people with his knees. He's got some good striking, so and we know how to deal with that.
You just defeated Jung. He lost to Jung.
Yeah.
He beat Kutalaba. You lost to Kutalaba. Do you go back and watch those fights closely?
No, because they're different fights, and he's I think he's younger fighter. He's been in the UFC. I don't know how many years, but um, people change, fighters change since those other fights and stuff like that. And I saw how he beat Kutalaba. Did he? In my mind, he didn't really beat Kutalaba. He caught him. He caught him with a good knee. And Kutalaba was being stupid at the time and just hanging out right in his zone, right? Kind of
Yeah.
showing that he was going to take down, and he read it right and caught him. Um, so I think if that fight was ran back, he'd win that fight. So it's like it's hard to judge how this fight's going to go off of those fights. Even though that is a good look, he likes to throw that knee and he can finish people with that knee. And he proved that with the Kudalaba fight. So that's always good film study right there.
He's not built like I don't want to say it's abnormal, but it's like his body is like different from a lot of the fighters, man. He's kind of
Hmm.
like one in a million, to be honest with you. He's so
Yeah.
tall, arms are extremely long,
Yep.
and his style, like his stance is different from a lot of people. Is there
Yep.
anybody that you have at your gym that can kind of emulate that? I would think maybe Neil Magny in
Yeah.
some ways.
Neil a little bit, but he's just so much smaller than him.
Yeah.
But it's a similar feel though. Um, but no, yeah, no one that's close to built like a 6'5" Nigerian guy. Neil's the
Not many out
closest.
there.
Uh,
Uh,
but it is what it is. That's fighting. You're not always going to have like a perfect practice partner that's built like your opponent and stuff like that. Well, even with Jung, I didn't have that anyone built like Jung or that fought like Jung. Um, so yeah, it is what it is, and
Mhm.
I don't think he has anybody that can fight like me. So
That's the puzzle, right? That's the fun part, is getting in there and finding out. I also saw that you had Ben Rothwell. Speaking of tall, like big dudes, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Did you get to spar him? Like, how were those rounds?
No, because he's getting ready. We didn't spar. We just took a
Okay.
picture and stuff. But
Mm.
he's getting ready for the bare knuckle fight
Yeah.
in Denver. So he's been out here acclimating and stuff like that. Super nice guy. Um, so yeah, it was just a cool little photo opportunity. You have all
Mhm.
these different weight classes in there, and
Mhm.
it, from the picture, it looked like we all sparred together. Like, that definitely wasn't the case. It was just, it was sparring day, and we all took a picture. So
What do you think of bare knuckle, man? Isn't that like the
it's wild.
wildest?
Wild. I was talking to Ben Rothwell about it, and I'm like, man, I'm like, I don't know if I could do it.
Mhm.
He's like, we in MMA we get kicked in the head and elbowed and this and that, and you'd much rather get punched, get cut up a little bit, but you'd much rather get punched. And I'm like, yeah, true. I mean, taking a foot base is not healthy, or an elbow. There's just so much more power than you can deliver with the hands. So that does make sense, but you're going to get cut. You're going to break a hand most likely. Um, and me not fighting at all, out in the streets, like it's a different thing for me.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, man. Is there anything that, you tweaked in this camp that you learned from maybe the past few camps that you did? Anything that you did more or less?
Just focused on staying healthy,
Mhm.
not getting injured, And last camp, the way I got injured is because I was going with my teammate Zach Puelga,
Mhm.
and I decided to take a rest on the cage, and he popped me with a knee right in the rib, and it popped it out. And the reason my rib got popped out was because I was taking a break on the cage. So that's like one of the things is, yeah, trying not to take breaks and continuing the fighting when he's tired, stuff like that. So just like little adjustments like that, mostly nothing too much with technique or then, but just, yeah, a lot of mental training and just getting into where we actually want to be in the fight.
Yeah, it was good to see that, Zach got the win, you got the win, and now you're
Yeah.
fighting again. I believe he's probably has a fight that it hasn't been announced. It seems like he's getting ready for something. I don't know
Yeah.
what, but
I think he's got something set up. I
yeah,
think, yeah, I'm not sure if contracts or anything have been signed, but
yeah,
I think he's got something in the works.
yeah. There's some clues out there that he's been, putting on social media, like something. But yeah, I see.
Yeah,
Um, how are you expecting to perform against Kennedy?
really good. This is gonna be my best fight.
Mhm.
This will be my best fight, and that's the same attitude I went in with the last fight. This one's got to be better. This will be my best fight to date, and when I'm in that mindset, anything could happen in that fight.
Mhm.
It could be a decision again. It could be a first round, whatever. But if I'm in that mindset, I'm winning the fight.
Is your father gonna be in the corner again?
He will not be in the corner, but he'll be
Oh,
in attendance.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
and
gonna be
there's
a
a
good
big
one, man.
crowd, and you'll still probably hear him.
Yeah, for sure, man. We love the energy, man. Everybody loves the energy.
Mhm.
That's huge
Yeah,
for, just the experience of, seeing a family member that's just like that invested into their son or their daughter or whatnot. You know what I mean? Everybody can understand that. You know what I mean? Everybody could have that in common and relate to
uh,
it.
oh yeah. I mean, that was my childhood. Just having a super passionate dad.
Mhm.
A lot of times, I didn't understand why he was so passionate and why he acted the way he acted. When he would make a scene at a football practice or at a football game, whether it was on me or me getting treated unfairly from the coaches, something like that. But I never understood it. But now, as a father myself, like, okay, I understand. Like, nobody else matters. That kid's the only thing that matters, and you're gonna let it be
Yeah. May 6th, man. UFC
done.
288, New
Yeah,
Jersey.
yeah,
Everybody make sure and follow Devin on social media. Thank you so much, Devin, for the time, and all the best in the fight. It's gonna be a interesting
Yep.
clash, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be really good. It's an exciting fight. I've been waiting for a good fight like this. Well, I guess since my last one. I'm just hungry right now, man. I'm hungry. I'm ready to move up. I'm ready to get this thing going and get that